up, everybody? Leanne Del Carpio, and I want to talk with you today about why it's important to take charge of our energy through our physiology first. My colleague, Dr. Carla Stanton, and I have an approach that we use when facing into these levels of change and chaos, and that has to do with using the energy of disruption and friction as fuel, considering that whatever is being upended in the moment, no matter how unsavory it is in the moment, may actually be showing us some glimpse into a future that wants to emerge. We leave a lot on the table when we don't also tap into our physiology. And so, why physiology? Why might we want to think about physiology first? It's again related to how our nervous systems interpret stress. And if you think about it, whether it be a saber-toothed tiger outside of our cave back in the day, or a boss today, or your boss's boss, or your boss's boss's boss asking for a presentation by tomorrow at a certain time, school, whatever can kind of create an environment where we are feeling a perceived lack of being able to control all of the components. That's how our body interprets stress. It's a perceived lack of control. And it kind of anchors into our physiology. That's why our physiology moves into chaos. And if we're in true heart-brain coherence, where our nervous systems are calm and we feel expansive in a mode of kind of creation, you would see a smooth pattern in our heart rate variability. And if we're perceiving a threat, you would notice a kind of erratic pattern. And so if we can slow down when we are facing stress and actually sense into where our physiology is at a set point, it gives us power. It gives us leverage, much more so than just approaching it at a head level only. I'm wondering if you can think about one thing in your past week that really pulled you into the swirl of stress, overwhelm, maybe a little bit of anxiety, maybe a little bit of increasing blood pressure, right? Your heart rate was increasing, just a little amplified experience of stress. Now, think of what that was, whether it was work, project, maybe it was a personal situation, or it was a family relationship kind of exchange. Whatever it was, see if you can now pinpoint what shifted you from, you know what, I'm up for this challenge. This is a little bit messier than I thought, but I got this, to, I don't got this. This is just too much. Like, it's just too much. Another moment. Can you access the moment in your memory when that shift happened? Because when that shift happens, that's the moment our perception shifts. Those are the moments that it's so important to slow down and notice what's going on in our physiology, because if we can pay attention there, we can notice any shifts in our general state of being. Are we loaded in that hyper kind of survival mode of fight or flight with that kind of muscle of doing? Are we also flexing that ability to kind of just be in the moment, thinking of these as two different kind of muscles that we want to flex, right? And that's where different hormones, oxytocin, DHEA, can kind of infuse and relax our system and open up our perception and bring us more resourceful opportunities to respond to the challenges at hand. So we know why it's important to start with our physiology, but how do we do that? Well, most people think when we want to kind of increase our energy, increase our performance, unleash more of our best selves in the face of that stress and pressure, we need to reach for external behaviors that are going to give us that strength. That's why diet and exercise are the most common things that people reach for. And they do certainly help getting our body into movement, deepening our breathing through things like yoga or exercise, certainly. But the truth is you can actually increase your energy, unlock greater performance, and really take charge of the stress that puts you into that survival mode and shift into creation mode faster if you can learn to unlock the true drivers of consistent behavioral change. It's something that neuroscientists will call metacognition. And you might be like, meta what? Well, meta meaning like kind of up from above or grander than, right? So higher than. And then kind of cognition, obviously paying attention to our thoughts, but it's really becoming the observer of ourselves, becoming the observer of how we are thinking, feeling, and actually even physiologically showing up under stress. If we can be the observer, become the third person of ourselves while we're in the midst of a stressful interaction, that's powerful. Neuroplasticity, the discovery that we can actually change our neural networks, change the way that we think, change the way that we feel, and actually pave a whole new path forward. That tells us that the way that we have hardwired ourselves does not need to be the way that we hardwire ourselves going forward. You are more than what a personality assessment tells you that you have hardwired yourself into up until this moment. But we need to learn how to access that power from within by leveraging this awareness that's much more nuanced than what we are taught to practice. So if we can bring awareness to what we are thinking, feeling, and physiologically sensing as we're undergoing stress, we can shift our state. Let's use a simple tree analogy to kind of help us explore this idea a little bit further. I want you to imagine in your mind a beautiful tree, maybe an oak tree. Oak tree comes to mind for me. If we imagine the branches of the tree and kind of the leaves, or maybe there's flowers in this tree, I don't know, that's the fruit of our results. These are the outcomes that we have achieved. So let's say we want to, I'm going to use a personal example. I was with my father this past weekend, and I love my father deeply. He has been undergoing a lot of personal health challenges for a number of years. And at 87, he's now grappling with dementia and a number of other conditions that preclude his ability to be as a fully kind of emotionally intelligent or resourceful in the moment. And so my goal when I'm with him and my other family members is to truly stay in a place of love and compassion, while also drawing some effective boundaries, because there's dealing with some of the frustration that he's feeling as he's dealing with the dementia. There's quite a lot of anger that he's processing right now. And while I want to honor what those feelings are that he's going through, I also want to draw a boundary with regards to the kinds of interactions that I allow with myself or with my family. And so the outcome that I'm looking for in this tree is a loving, compassionate exchange that honors where he is at, and also honors the boundaries that I'm looking for. That's the kind of positive results, right? And if I think underneath, that's great. Those are the results on the tree. Most people think in order to get those results, it's the trunk of the tree, the actions that you take that will get you there. So it would be things like use, active listening skills, summarize, make sure that you're demonstrating patience in your listening, show empathy in communication, use a lot of summary and maybe repetition to summarize what we've talked about and demonstrate openness in your questions, communication techniques. And these are going to be helpful, and indeed they are, to yield a positive result. But there's actually something that is deeper that drives the actions that we take. Now, if my thoughts, right, if we go a level deeper into kind of the soil of you, the first layer down is your thoughts. Now, if you have a thought, a resourceful thought, like today's going to be a great day with my dad, and despite the limitations, despite the advancement of this disease, we are just going to have a great time. I'm going to go in with a certain energy, right, and a certain kind of resourceful way of thinking that's going to help me reach for the best communication techniques that yield the best outcome. But if underneath, even deeper than that, at an emotional level, I'm feeling maybe sad with regards to the evolution of his disease, or I'm feeling maybe a little frustrated by some of the angry comments that he makes, and I begin to take them personally. So let's say it's anger and sadness combined, right? Not unusual to have different emotions come up. Those emotions, anger, is about kind of drawing boundaries and feeling like something's not right, and sadness is a sense of loss. That anger and sadness would then fuel a thought that would be more like, ugh, we just go around in circles in these conversations. That leads to an action, maybe, that would be less resourceful, maybe not as deep of listening, maybe truncated questions, maybe a shift in tone, right? And might yield less than optimal results in the branches of the tree. You see how this is all kind of linked together. If we go into a situation and we feel kind of constrained or kind of tense in our physiology, I go in to meet with my dad. My intent is to have a loving and compassionate exchange while also drawing effective boundaries. But I'm a bit tense in my physiology. Maybe I have a little pit in my stomach because I'm worried about how it's going to turn out. That actually feeds information into my heart, which informs the feelings, which then informs the thoughts, which then informs the actions that I take. So imagine the soil, the roots of the tree, informing the trunk of the tree, which informs the branch of the tree. And so those are the true integrated drivers of consistent systemic behavioral change. And it's not until we get to the soil of ourselves, the roots of our feelings, thoughts, and behaviors, that we can truly affect that shift in state, and then therefore be able to optimally handle the energy of stress and yield different outcomes. So this week I invite you to bring this practice to bear in your life. The next time that you find yourself in a stressful situation, see if you can bring a little metacognition in the moment. See if you can observe, what's going on in my physiology? How am I feeling? What are my thoughts? And then how is that driving my action? It's really hard in the moment, to be honest, because we've hardwired ourselves in a certain way for so long, but try it out. You could draw a tree, map it out. Well, what was I feeling at the physiological root? Think about the feeling, think about the thought, look at the outcome, and see if you can find a pattern. Be the sort of super sleuth or the investigator in your life, and I look forward to hearing what you learn as you bring more awareness of how your physiology can drive your results in your life.